I love making homemade ornaments for Christmas. It's one of my favorite things to do every year, and I especially love making them out of felt. So when I got my Cricut maker, I knew that I wanted to try making a bunch of things out of felt. It cuts felt so well with the rotary cutting blade. So I made these adorable felt gingerbread house ornaments using the Everyday iron-on vinyl. And they're super, super easy to make. These would make the most adorable neighbor gifts or teacher gifts, and you can customize them on the back to say whatever you want. So I've got one that says 2020, the year we stayed home. This one is just personalized with the year 2020, and it says the Petersons on it. So you could customize that one with anyone's name. Such a cute neighbor gift idea, or you could put a teacher's name on there. And then if you know someone that bought their first home this year, I need one that says our first home 2020, or you could put even like new home 2020, something like that. Or you can make up your own fun saying. But I'm going to show you step by step how to make these 3 gingerbread house ornaments using your Cricut maker. To make the ornaments, you'll need your Cricut maker with a rotary cutting blade, or if you're using a different Cricut and a different blade, just make sure that you're able to cut felt with it. I'm also going to be using my Easy Press and the mat. If you don't have that, you can definitely use just an iron and an ironing board. I'm using white and dark pink Everyday iron-on. You also need tan felt, some fiberfill for stuffing, some thin white ribbon, white embroidery floss, and an embroidery needle. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is create this cut file. We're going to need the 3 vinyl houses, the 6 felt houses, one for the front and back of each house, and then the 3 sets of words if you want words on the back, and then the 3 hearts. You want to search for gingerbread house cookie. And all of these gingerbread house cookies should come up first. And I used this one, and this one. You can use any of the other ones that you want. Push insert images. And then I made all of them 3.5 inches tall. Okay, now that you've done that, go ahead and select all 3 of them, copy and paste them. So for these, we need to delete all of these white lines on the inside so that it's a solid shape to cut the felt. And to do that, we're going to use shapes. Size it to where it will fit on the house. Make sure that it's not going off of the house because that will change the shape of your house. And then select both the house and the shape and go over here and click weld. And that should get rid of those white lines. So then I'm going to go and take a triangle, unlock that one, select both, weld again, and then a square for this little chimney here. Once you've done that with the first one, continue and do that for the next 2 shapes. Once you've deleted all the lines on those, go ahead and select all 3 and change the color to brown. And then this is very important. If you see any extra little black lines like these, that means you didn't get all the white lines from the previous image. So go ahead and create another shape and just go over all of those areas again. All right, and then when you're sure that all of those lines are filled in, select all 3 of those again and copy and paste them. That way you have a front and a back for each house. The next thing that we need to do is isolate the big heart from each of these houses. So select all 3 of these, copy and paste, move them off to the side. And then I just use squares to cover up parts of the house to isolate this heart here. It doesn't need to be perfect. There's going to be extra little lines left over, but it doesn't matter because all we care about is this little heart in the middle. So for this, instead of using weld, we're going to use slice. So select the house and the square, select slice, and then you'll delete the square, and then it creates 2 layers of the house that you can delete. So just keep doing that until you have isolated the little heart in the middle for each house. Once you have all 3 of those hearts select all of them and change the color to red. Now the last thing that we need to do is create the words, and I'm using 2 Cricut fonts for that. I'm using Quarter Note and Typewriter. So let's start with the 2020, and then we'll do another one. The year, enter, we stayed home. Let's move that. And then one last text box. Oh, actually, I just need home for that one, and we'll delete home off of this one. So the year we stayed should be just by itself. Okay, for the word home, I'm using the typewriter. So go over here, type in typewriter, and it's this one right here. And I used size 21.5. And then go ahead and change that to white. And then for the year we stayed home, I'm going to align that center. It's going to be size 36 font. And that one is the Quarter Note. And then the year, the 2020 is also Quarter Note, but that one is size 30 font. So we need to do a little bit of work on this one. We're going to change the line spacing and the letter spacing. So just keep messing around with that until it looks right. And change the color to white for both of these. And then select all of these and copy and paste them. Move them over to the side and then make one more copy of them. Paste it over here. Because each house is going to be using the same font style and size. So let's work on this one first. The year we stayed home, we need to weld those together because they're overlapping. And then bring them over to the house that you want them on so you can line them up. And you just need to worry about lining them up vertically at this point. How far spaced apart do you want them vertically? Now select only the letters and push align center horizontally, and then come over here and press attach. You don't want to attach it to the house because you want this cut separately. So this is going to be a separate thing. The house was just to help us with alignment. And then go ahead and change the words on these ones and do the same thing. Weld them and align them and then attach them. And then they should be ready to cut. Next, it's time to send everything to the Cricut Maker and cut it out. Make sure that with all of your iron-on cuts that you press the check mark to mirror the image before you do any cutting, and also load your material with the shiny side down. When cutting the felt, make sure to use your fabric grip mat and also your rotary cutting blade. It's going to give you a nice smooth edge. And when you go to pull that extra felt off, you should have 6 nicely cut felt houses. Next, you'll need to weed your iron-on vinyl. So using this pick tool helps a lot, especially with this detailed design. And since we're doing the reverse of what this design was actually made to be, we're going to peel off one more layer here around the outside. And then you can just very carefully get that inner layer. This is much easier than weeding regular adhesive vinyl. So don't let the details of the design scare you. And then since I want this little heart here to be pink in my final design, I'm gonna go ahead and take that off of here also. And then I've got the little heart on this tiny scrap of vinyl. So just gonna keep weeding around that until I get to the heart. There's other parts of the building on here that we didn't erase, but that's okay because all I need is that little heart in the middle. And there we go. Next, figure out what the front of your ornaments are. Make sure that the vinyl is face down, and then choose one layer of the ornament. Line it up, and then since it is sticky, I like to kind of press it down a little bit. I've got my heat press heated to 280 degrees, and we're gonna do light pressure for 30 seconds. And leave that there with just a little bit of pressure for 30 seconds. Take that off. It might get stuck to the bottom. Make sure you don't touch it to try and get it off. And just let that sit for a little bit until it cools, and then you can peel it off. Once it is cool to the touch, carefully peel off that protective layer. Next, I want to add the little heart onto the design, and to get it exactly where I want it to be, you can kind of see the outline from where it cut the white one on here. And so I have it with the vinyl side up, and I'm putting it on the sticky back of this larger piece here. And this is also going to serve as a protection for when I have the heat press on the entire thing. And then you can kind of use the marks from the cuts to line up where that heart should go. And then go ahead and press that again at 280 degrees for 30 seconds with light pressure. Go ahead and set that aside and let it cool completely again before you peel off the plastic. Now I've got all three of my houses, the front's done, and now we're gonna do the back. So make sure to line the pieces up so that you know which side is the back. Set aside the front piece and put that back piece down. Take the words that you want to put on the back and center them on the ornament. Once everything's where you want it to be, go ahead and press that for our 30 seconds again. Set that aside and allow it to cool, and then repeat the process for the other two ornaments. Next, take your ribbon and cut about 5 inches for each ornament. Next, you're going to take the back of one of your ornaments and fold your piece of ribbon in half, overlapping the ends. And then you want about 1/2 inch to 1 inch of the ribbon to be inside the ornament. So make sure that that's overlapping there. And then I'm just gonna sew a little bit across the top of here. You can hand sew it, but I prefer to machine stitch it because I feel like it's more secure. Okay, so now I've got a ribbon sewn on the top of each of these, and it's time to start sewing them together. Okay, I've got 2 strands of floss on my embroidery needle, and we're gonna go ahead and tie a knot in the other end. Put the 2 pieces together with the pretty sides facing out. And I'm just going to do a simple whip stitch around the outside of the house. So since we want to hide our knot, open it up, and I'm going to start at the top here where my loop is sewn in. And bring the needle from the front, from the inside, to the back, to the outside. And then kind of push the knot down so that it stays out of the way. Next, line the pieces up together. I've got my 2 pieces here with the ribbon on the inside. And since my needle is on the back here, I'm going to bring it slightly forward. So I went through over here, now I'm coming a stitch forward and bringing it through to the back. So my thread is in the back again, and now I'm going to come around to the front and then go forward a stitch and then push the needle without getting it tangled in this thread that's coming out the back and bring it through to the back. So then just continue that along the whole outside, but leave a space at the end. I'm probably going to wait and do this part here because we need to put some stuffing on the inside, some fiberfill. So again, from the back, a stitch length forward through the front. And you'll see on the side here, it's creating these stitches that go over the side of the roof here. And you'll see on the back, it should look very similar to what it looks like on the front. So now that I've gotten to this side of the roof, I've got my opening here, and I'm going to stuff that with some fiber fill. And actually I ran out of fiber fill. So these are torn up cotton balls. So if you're in a pinch, you can use some torn up cotton balls. They won't lay as smooth as fiber fill, but they do the job, especially for felt where you're not going to see those lumps as much. So stuff some of that in there. You don't want it to be too full because you want the house to still retain its house shape. So just enough to give it a little bit of dimension. So then just continue with that whip stitch around to close up that opening. Once you get to the end, your needle should be coming out the back like this, and you're going to take your needle and bring it under one of the stitches on the side of it. Don't pull that all the way through yet, so you'll have like a loop, and bring your needle through that loop to tie a knot, and then go under that same stitch one more time, leave the little loop, bring your needle through it, then take the needle and push it down into that same spot where you were making knots, push it down through the ornament, and then out a little bit further away. And I still like to make sure that it goes along the side here. Push your needle through, then go ahead and cut that off as close to the ornament as you can, and that should hide your knot and the thread that you cut off. So there you go, we've got one finished ornament ready to go, and I'm going to do the same with the other two ornaments. And I finished all 3 ornaments, so now I've got 3 cute gingerbread ornaments ready to give away. I hope you enjoyed making these fun felt gingerbread ornaments. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas.